Hey, I'm John Rudolph Drexler. This is the official rules video for Colossi, a card game that you are just about to play. To win Colossi, you'll need to claim victory over 3 different environments. If it's the first time you're playing, or if this is a speed round, you could play first to 2 environments instead. It'll make the game quite a bit faster. When you open up the box, you'll see that you have a deck full of environments. These are oversized cards. These have a title as well as a description. You'll have a deck of item cards. These are smaller cards that have a name, an effect, a discard cost, and an item type. The discard cost tells you how many cards you'll have to discard in order to use this item, and the item type tells you whether or not you discard it immediately. The little X tells you it's a single-use item, meaning you should resolve it immediately after you take it and then discard it. Perk items, on the other hand, the ones with the little arrow, you'll leave face up in front of you and discard after the skirmish ends. You'll also see a player deck. These cards are the main cards that you'll be playing with throughout the game. The cards in a player deck have a power, type, name, and effect. At the end of this video, we'll do a short breakdown of the different card types. To get started, you can shuffle your item deck, set it aside, shuffle the environment deck, set it aside. Draw 3 environments and spread them out evenly across the table. You want to have enough room on all sides for players to prepare cards. For each of the environments you drew, draw an item and place it face up on the environment. Each player takes one of the player decks. These are identical except for their backs, so no need to worry about who takes which one. Colossi takes place over 2 phases. First, in the hand-building phase, you'll take turns preparing cards face down on the environments. You're basically preparing hands that you're going to play out later during the skirmish phase. Once a skirmish starts, you'll pick up the cards that you had prepared on the environment where you're skirmishing, add them to your hand, and start playing cards face up one at a time to battle your opponents and resolve the effects of the cards. When the game first starts, we'll start with the hand-building phase. Pick a first player however you'd like. Everybody draws 3 cards from their deck, and we'll start with the first player. During the hand-building phase, you'll always have 3 cards in your hand. So if it's your turn, you can prepare a card face down on one of the 3 environments, and then immediately draw back up to 3. Continue taking turns like this, playing wherever you like. During this phase, you're not allowed to look at any of your face-down cards, and you're not allowed to take any items. Items we'll use later on in the skirmish phase. If any environment has at least 8 cards prepared on it, including your cards and other people's cards, you may use your turn to initiate a skirmish there. This means that you're going to start battling. When you initiate a skirmish, everybody picks up all of the cards they prepared on the environment you indicated and add them to their hand of 3 cards that they already had. Note that you can't play a card and initiate a skirmish on the same turn. You can only do one or the other. Once a skirmish starts, you'll always have a hand limit of 10. If at any point during the skirmish you have more than 10 cards, you need to immediately discard back down to 10 cards. Now we'll take turns skirmishing with face-up cards, and we'll begin with whoever initiated the skirmish. During the skirmish on your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You could play a card, you can take an item, or you can pass. Let's go through each one of those. Playing a card is pretty straightforward. You play a card face up from your hand, and it remains in play like that until the skirmish ends. To take an item, you still need to have at least 1 card in your hand. In other words, you haven't passed yet and you haven't run out of cards. To take an item, you have to pay the discard cost that's written in the top right of the card, discard that many cards, then take the item, resolve its effect. Finally, you can pass. You can do this on any of your turns before you've run out of cards. When you pass, you're done playing, you won't play any more cards, you won't take any more items. When you pass, you should immediately move all the cards remaining in your hand face down to the other 2 environments, splitting them up however you want to. This is really important for strategy because having more cards obviously helps you win more skirmishes. So if you think you've already lost this skirmish, or if you think you've already played enough to win it, you should pass and save those cards for later. A couple other quick rules about passing. If all the other players have passed or run out of cards, but you still have cards in your hand, you can continue playing as long as you want. You can take multiple turns in a row and pass whenever you want to. Also, if you have no cards that you're allowed to play, you must pass. Once everyone's hands are empty, in other words, once everyone's run out of cards or passed, it's time to score and figure out who won. Tally up the power of all of your cards, including the effects from things like water or items, and the player with the most power wins the skirmish. If there's a tie, whichever tied player has more cards in play wins the skirmish. In the extremely rare case where that's still a tie, begin with the player who's to the right of the initiator and continue moving around counterclockwise until you reach a player who is tied. In other words, it's the player furthest from the initiator when we started the round who will be the tiebreaker winner. But this rarely happens. After you're done skirmishing, discard all the cards you played face up, discard all the items including the ones that you didn't use. Whichever player won the skirmish should keep the environment as a trophy so everyone can see how many they've won. Then draw one more environment and one new item for each environment. Environments have a maximum of 3 items, so if one already has 3 items on it, don't place one there. Then we go back to hand building with the player to the left of the initiator. Continue on like this until anyone's won 3 skirmishes. Once someone's won 3 skirmishes, the game's over. Like I said earlier, if it's your first game or if you're looking for a quicker game, you can play first to 2 skirmishes instead of first to 3. Let's talk just for a minute about the relationships between these different cards. Water cards give 2 extra power to electric cards and take away 2 power from fire cards. All water cards have this exact same effect. It doesn't matter which player played them. The effect is for the entire environment. So if I played the water card, but you played the fire card, your fire card would still get -2 power from my water card. And if I had played the water card and the fire card would get -2 power just the same. This goes the same for electric cards. If I played water and electric, my water would give +2 to my electrics. But if I played a water and you played an electric, my water card would still give your electric +2 power. Fire cards block all beast cards. No one's allowed to play a beast card when there's a fire card out there, no matter who played the fire card. Beast cards force your opponents to discard, so they're very valuable. Divine Gifts are cards that have 0 power, but they allow you to draw cards and cycle through your deck more quickly. Electric cards force people to discard when they play Divine Gifts. So when you play a Divine Gift, you have to discard a card first for each electric card that's out there, the effect stacks, and then resolve the Divine Gift. Acolytes are each worth 2, but if you have more Acolytes in play than all of your opponents, each of them gets +3 power. So if I just have a single Acolyte out there and no one else has one, it's worth 5. If you play one, now we each have 1, and so each of our Acolytes is only worth 2, because neither of us has more than all of our opponents. But if I played 2 more, then I'd have more than you. Yours would be worth 2. My 3 would be worth 5 each, so that stacks up very fast. Finally, Colossus cards basically make you feel like you're cheating. They're very fun, they're very powerful, and they do things that really break out of the mold of the rest of these card types. And that's about it. If you have questions about specific cards or edge cases, things like that, there's a section in the back half of the rulebook called Card Clarifications, and it's probably covered in there. Other than that, if there's something I missed, feel free to come hang out in our Discord and let me hear all about it.